Stormdog here with another Reasons to Watch. Please do remember this is just my opinion, and while I highly value my opinion, might be my megalomania rising again, you may not. And if that is the case, go ahead, feel free to dislike, downvote. If you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, subscribe, you can follow me on Twitter. Anyway, tonight's movie is Best Men, 1997. It's an action comedy crime movie with a smattering of drama. The story proceeds as four best men, all in tuxes, pick up their friend, the groom, outside prison where he's just getting out. On the way to the chapel, one of them needs to stop at a bank and they all get involved in a robbery. The bank is soon surrounded and then eventually the FBI gets involved. There are quite a few good stars in this, ones you don't see very often anymore, but are strong in their own right. Dean Cain, albeit he did a string of B-grade action movies for a while, I remember him mostly from watching Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman with my father as a child. Lately, he's done a lot of family direct-to-video, but has also done appearances in pretty much every DC show that has come out lately, especially anything vaguely related to Superman. Up next, you've got Andy Dick. I remembered him, I'm sorry, from the Hoodwinked movies. He did The Rabbit in those. He does a lot of voice work. He was a comedian, prolific in his own right for a while, not so much anymore. Up next, we had Sean Patrick Flannery. I absolutely loved him in both of the Boondock Saints movies. Those are great, you need to catch those. He did Suicide Kings. Lately, he does a lot of direct-to-video action movies. I was surprised. I had forgotten that he was Indiana Jones in The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. So, worth checking out just for him. He is always an underplayed part in every movie he shows up in. I love seeing him. Mitchell Whitefield, a lot of voice work. I had forgotten that he was in My Cousin Vinny. He's one of the two defendants in the case. Luke Wilson, most recently in Stargirl. He has quite a big part in that. He was in Blue Streak, decent little action film if you catch it, and Scream 2. That whole series is phenomenal. I was very delighted to see Fred Ward in these. I loved him in the first two Tremors movies. Remote Williams, if you haven't seen that, you need to catch that. He was the detective in Miami Blues. He was in Uncommon Valor. And, of course, you can't forget Time Rider. Raymond J. Berry, it seems like every time I see him in a movie, he's playing some kind of authority figure with some kind of issue, some kind of problem in his personal life, or something like that. Some kind of complex that he's letting him drive him. Most recently, he was in Purge Election Year. He was in Falling Down, which is an excellent movie, and he was the vice president in Sudden Death. Drew Barrymore, I really don't have to point out much of anything that she's in. Just for the sake of it, she's in both of the Charlie's Angels. I will point out the voice work she did in Titan AE, because that movie is not mentioned enough. Ever After, and if you go back far enough, she's in E.T. and Firestarter. Finishing out, we have Brad Dourif, and he was in the second two Lord of the Rings movies, was excellent in those. He was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, excellent in those. He was in Dune, Alien Resurrection. He always does an amazing job. He's one of those guys, he doesn't really headline by himself, but if he shows up, you know the movie is just going to get better. The movie had some great, solid dialogue. It had some comedic relief that was very well placed, and it wasn't overblown, and that kind of scales off towards the end of the movie. If you understand, it kind of descends more into some good dramatic developments, especially in the quiet moments later in the movie, and it makes sense. The story makes sense. There are some good action scenes, but they feel like they have real emotional depth behind them. It's not overblown. I felt like if you watch closely, there's a lot of different references to a lot of different movies, just kind of little nods, spoofs if you want. It's a very enjoyable, whatever it is, 90 minutes, I forget how long it was. It went by quickly. I was very captivated by it, and really a lot of the ensemble cast, none of them really anymore especially, are carrying their own movies, but together they all worked very well. So I really recommend tracking this one down. I do not currently know of anywhere that it is streaming. Maybe Pluto TV, you might be able to catch it there. But this has been Reasons to Watch with Best Men from 1997.